But in 1933, no computer existed. When the Reich needed to mount a systematic campaign of Jewish economic disenfranchisement, and later began the massive movement of European Jews out of their homes and into ghettos. Once again, see, they pushed them out of their homes, they put them in the ghettos. Once again, the task was so prodigious, it called for a computer, but in 1933, no computer existed. When the final solution sought to effectively transport Jews out of European ghettos along railroad lines and into death camps, with timing so precise, the victims were able to walk right out of the boxcar and into a waiting gas chamber. The coordination was so complex a task. This too called for a computer, but in 1933, no computer existed. When I saw that stuff about the boxcar, it reminded me, it sparked a memory of the time, during the COVID pandemic. Remember how they were doing all these they were trying to incentivize people to go and take the poison jab. And I think they even said free train ride, which many of us were thinking, this sounds like Auschwitz to me, or this sounds like the Holocaust to me. Not Auschwitz. Well, it sounded like the Jews getting on these, box cars, and then they take them straight to their place where they're going to be, exterminated. And they were incentivizing people, giving them prizes, and remember spinning these wheels, and then people were winning prizes. And I think they even said like a free train ride. I don't remember if it was in California or somewhere else, but I remember someone even offering like a free train ride. I thought to myself, oh boy, could it be any clearer, right? Okay. However, another invention did exist, the IBM punch card and the card sorting system, a precursor to the computer. So this was prior to the computers. This is what they had. This is the technology they had. IBM, primarily through its German subsidiary, made Hitler's program of Jewish destruction a technologic mission the company pursued with chilling success. IBM Germany, using its own staff and equipment, designed, executed, and supplied the indispensable technologic assistance Hitler's Third Reich needed to accomplish what had never been done before, the automation of human destruction. More than 2,000 such multi-machine sets were dispatched throughout Germany, and thousands more throughout German-dominated Europe. Card sorting operations were established in every major concentration camp. People were moved from place to place, systematically worked to death, and their remains cataloged with icy automation. IBM Germany, known in those days as Deutsche Hollerith Maschinen, I think that's how you pronounce that, Gesellschaft, or Die Hamag, did not simply sell the Reich machines and then walk away. IBM subsidiary, with the knowledge of its New York headquarters, enthusiastically custom designed the complex devices and specialized applications as an official corporate undertaking. Die Hamag's top management was comprised of openly rabid Nazis who were arrested after the war for their party affiliation. So they were found out at one time and arrested because they were affiliated with the Nazi party. And these are the ones that were used to help Hitler, to work with Hitler. IBM New York always understood from the outset in 1933 that it was courting and doing business with the upper echelon of the Nazi party. You see that? So they flat out knew these were hardcore. This is as bad as it gets as far as the type of caliber of Nazi that they were, that these were the upper echelon of the Nazi Party. The company leveraged its Nazi Party connections to continuously enhance its business relationships with Hitler's Reich in Germany and throughout Nazi-dominated Europe. DHMOG and other IBM subsidiaries custom designed the applications. Its technicians sent mock-ups of punch cards back and forth to Reich offices until the data columns were acceptable, much as any software designer would today. Punch cards could only be designed, printed, and purchased from one source, IBM. The machines were not sold, they were leased. So IBM had this leverage over this equipment. They didn't just sell them, they wanted to be involved. And so it just shows you how aware of everything that was going on IBM had to be. If this kind of thing was going on, they had to have their hands all in it, in order to, if they couldn't just sell them the machines and just let them do their thing. No, they were very much present, very much involved, and regularly maintained and upgraded by only one source, IBM. IBM subsidiaries trained the Nazi officers and their surrogates throughout Europe, set up branch offices and local dealerships throughout Nazi Europe, staffed by a revolving door of IBM employees, and scoured paper mills to produce as many as 1.5 billion punch cards a year in Germany alone. Moreover, the fragile machines were serviced on site once a month. Let's do this here. There we go. Even when that site was in or near a concentration camp, IBM Germany's headquarters in Berlin maintained duplicates of many code books, much as any IBM service bureau today would maintain data backups for computers. I was haunted by a question whose answer has long eluded historians. The Germans always had the list of Jewish names. Suddenly, a squadron of grim-faced SS would burst into a city square and post a notice demanding those lists listed assemble the next day at the train station for deportation to the east. But how did the Nazi get the lists? For decades, no one has known. Few have asked. The answer: IBM, Germany census operations, and similar advanced people counting and registration technologies. IBM was founded in 1896 by German inventor Hermann Hollerith. Oh, so he was German as well. Okay. As a census tabulating company. Census was its business, but when IBM Germany formed its philosophical and technologic alliance with Nazi Germany, census and registration took on a new mission. IBM Germany invented the radical census, listing not just religious affiliation, but bloodline going back generations. So the Nazis were very, very, very much into and interested in a person's bloodline, because they were trying to get this pure bloodline. I believe they refer to as the Aryan race. And I just made a little note here. This was the Nazi data lust, not just. I'll clarify my comment here in just a second. Because I'm almost done reading here what I wanted to focus in on for today. Okay, this was the Nazi data list, not just to count the Jews, but to identify them. Palantir, in our day, Palantir wants to identify us at a very high level. People and asset registration was only one of the many uses Nazi Germany found for high-speed data sorters. Food allocation was organized around databases. allowing Germany to starve the Jews. Slave labor was identified, it was tracked, it was managed largely through punch cards. Punch cards even made the trains run on time and catalog their human cargo. German railway, the Reichsbahn, I believe it's pronounced, De Hamag's biggest customer, dealt directly with senior management in Berlin. De Hamag maintained punch card installations at train depots across Germany and eventually across Europe. How much did IBM know? Some of it IBM knew on a daily basis throughout the 20-year Reich. The worst of it, IBM preferred not to know. Don't ask, don't tell. See, they were kind of like kidding themselves. They just were thinking about the money. So don't ask, don't tell was the order of the day. Yet IBM New York officials and frequently Watson's personal representative, Harrison Chauncey and Werner Lear, were almost constantly in Berlin or Geneva, monitoring activities, ensuring that the parent company in New York was not cut out of any of the profits or business opportunities Nazism presented. When U.S. law made such direct contact, illegal IBM Swiss office became the nexus, providing the New York office continuous information and credible deniability. Okay. And it says, certainly the dynamics and the context of IBM's alliance with Nazi Germany changed throughout the 12-year Reich. And then that's when the author says, I want the full story understood in context. Now it says, I'm going to skip that little bit there that I read early on about what he said about reading the whole book. Okay, if you believe that somehow the Holocaust would not have occurred without IBM, you are more than wrong. The Holocaust would have proceeded, and often did proceed, with simple bullets, death marches, massacres based on pen and paper persecution, but there is reason to examine the fantastical numbers Hitler achieved in murdering so many millions so swiftly and identify the crucial role of automation and technology. Accountability is needed. And I would say the same in our day and time right now. Accountability is dire. Accountability is needed. Okay? So he said, but there is reason to, I'm going to read it again, but there is reason to examine the fantastical numbers Hitler achieved in murdering so many millions so swiftly and identify the crucial role of automation and technology. Accountability is needed. Okay, and I'm going to end with this. Going back to the previous page, it said, IBM Germany invented the racial census, listing not just religious affiliation, but bloodline, going back generations. So their family tree, their bloodline. This was the Nazi data lust. Not just to count the Jews, but to identify them. They identified them, it looks like, through their bloodline as well. I wanted to mention, because there is a problem with, that Luciferian, some refer to it as the Luciferian Brotherhood, or the Brotherhood system. It's the Illuminati and it's the Freemasons. And I have heard from this gal that came from, she has Illuminati family, and she was raised in that whole culture. She knows Elon Musk. She said she was raised with Elon Musk because he's Illuminati. He came from an Illuminati family. And she said that they focus in a lot on, like this situation, the bloodline, and they follow this bloodline, and they make decisions, like people that they victimize. Sometimes it sounds like they will choose them because of because they like the history of their bloodline. or they see their talents and their giftings, and maybe they want to put them in some type of, like look at Elon Musk, in some type of position in society where they can use them in some type of leadership or some kind of, to be this innovator, or someone who serves in government, or things like that, so that they can make an impact for the Luciferian cult within our society. So when I saw that information about how the Nazis focused in on bloodline, and you'll see that in the book. I've seen this. I read something along that line in another section so far, in the book. The other thing is where it talked about. Oh, here it is. Below that, it talks about how much did IBM know. Some of IBM knew on a daily basis throughout the 12-year Reich. The worst of it, IBM preferred not to know, and their belief system was don't ask, don't tell, was the order of the day. Okay, and so my note regarding that was. This is very commonly seen with like the technocrats, that they don't place a whole lot of value on human life. They're only interested in the money and the power that is going to result from their technology that they're pushing. And a lot of times they'll try to make it look like it's so convenient. If you buy this thing or download this app and use this app, like the wallet system, let's use that one for an example. How convenient it is, right? To have those electronic wallet. I think Amazon has a system in place, from what I understand, where you don't have to use your credit card anymore. It's like this wallet, this wallet digital. I don't know if they refer to it as electronic or digital, but some type of a wallet system. And basically that's kind of, some people have pointed out, gosh, is that the beast system? Is that the mark of the beast type system? Because in the book of Revelations, it says that you will not be able to buy and sell without the mark. And what it is it's going to be something on the forehead and on the palm, or on the, on your hand, and you'll be able to, like a barcode, and you will be able to just scan it like that. That's the mark of the beast. The thing about that to remember, I want to remind people of this in the book of Revelation. The beast, the Antichrist reign is only for a certain amount of time. It's a designated time by God. He will not rule and reign forever. In fact, after that time is up, then he's going to be, the Bible says, hurled into the lake of fire. And with the false prophet, the beast, the Antichrist, all of it, and anybody that took the mark, they're going to be thrown into the lake of fire. And it's not worth that. It's not worth taking that mark. I just want to, say that, just to end with, that. And, for people that are Christians that do not take the mark, we will probably be beheaded or killed, but that's a temporary suffering. After we're gone, we're gonna, for eternity, and eternity never ends. We're gonna be. Eternity never ends, and for eternity we will be in heaven with the Lord, in a wonderful place that is much better than what we are experiencing here on earth. So there's temporary suffering, but then for eternity, forever, for the rest of our existence, we will be in heaven, in a good place. The opposite is not the case. The opposite is people will take the mark, and they'll probably do it to escape the sufferings that will be going on the earth for those who are not willing to take the mark. They will not be able to buy and sell and all that. So it would be easy to take the mark and then be able to come out from under the pressure and the persecution. But that part right there is only temporary, because the Bible says that if you take the mark, you're going to be thrown into the lake of fire with the the false prophet and the Antichrist and of course Satan and his demons and all that. And that part is for eternity.